revaluation of gold, perhaps part of a general worldwide currency revaluation on an overnight basis, where the price will be raised enough so that people are happy to stay in the futures system and take cash settlement, as Adrian was suggesting. But they can pull some sort of force majeure and shut down markets in certain countries if you don't have your own gold secure in your own hands or in some safe vault and in some safe country. You may be vulnerable to this, but these revaluations of gold, these revaluations of currencies, they happen overnight, and they happen overnight for a reason. They don't want people to position themselves in advance so that they can profit from it, unless you're talking about the people who are the primary dealers for the Treasury Department, who will get the advance orders and the advance word, and they will be able to position themselves. Goldman Sachs will get the call. Morgan Chase will get the call. Barclays may get the call, but Bill, Adrian, and I, and you, Eric, will not get the call.
I agree with both Adrian and Chris, and I think it's just my biggest feeling it's going to be like the Wild West out there at some point. And that's be very exciting, but it's going to be, in some ways, it'll be a bit scary because of what they've created, as I keep saying. And they've created a monster here, and it's going to bite them as time goes on.
Gentlemen, I said that was the close, but very quickly for the gold share people, very good argument made by James Turk that the gold shares were undervalued, and I thought that was excellent when I had him on the air very recently. Just very quickly, each of you, are we going to see really an explosion in the gold shares? Because there's still a lot of fear there. People are not really believing. We're still not having the shares at new highs or able to reach new highs off the rebound, even though gold has obviously hit new highs, hitting 12 and a quarter or so recently. The shares themselves have not been able to get back to that old peak. Still a lot of fear there, even though they've played some kind of catch-up. Do you think the shares will take off in 2010 is my question for you, gentlemen, and we'll close with that. Let's start with you, Bill.
Yeah, I think it's going to become a mania, just like the Internet is hysteria a while back, and it's a little tiny market sector. And when the public comes in here, the shares are going to go nuts. And they're way undervalued, and even the gold producers. People think this is expensive gold. They can't make money at these prices. The expenses have gone up too much. So, yeah, it's going to be another part of the Wild West show when these shares really take off.
Adrian?
Yeah, people will see the metals move and will start to think that they missed a lot of the action. And when they look at the shares, they'll see it's pretty obvious they haven't missed any action there. And the shares will very quickly play catch up to the metals. So yes, I agree with Bill. There's going to be a lot of money moving into the shares.
Chris?
Well, the HUI, Eric, got up above 500 briefly back at, I guess, the beginning of January, and it's back down to 450 today. That move to 500 was reflecting the gold price getting up to $1,200. I think the shares have moved with the gold price, and they will move with the gold price when the market is convinced that gold is going to stay up at that level, that there are new financial arrangements in the world, that there's just too much money in the world, and there's just too little gold to fulfill all the paper contracts. The question, of course, with everything, and this too, is timing. And on the other hand, I do suspect that central banks are going to want some inflation. I think they're more scared of deflation than inflation. Central banks are created to inflate and debase currencies, and they can do it just by, getting off the gold price. So I don't think central banks, particularly the European central banks, and the Chinese and other Asian central banks, are necessarily the enemies of gold that central banks used to be.
Well, gentlemen, in closing here, let me just have each of you plug your websites. Chris, we obviously know with you and the globally listeners know GATA.org, but Adrian, you have marketforceanalysis.com, is that correct? And can you talk about your newsletter also?
Yeah, we provide a timing service which covers several commodities, but mainly focused on gold and silver, to advise investors when to buy and when to sell if they are interested in trading the market. And
Bill, you have LaMetropoleCafe.com or LaMetropole?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, listeners, if they're interested or don't know anything about it, they can look it up and sign up for a 2-week free trial and see if it's of interest to them.
Okay, and I'll have links to both of those sites on the interview page. So if anybody wants to link into those, they can go right to the interview page and take them over to LaMetropolCafe.com or MarketForceAnalysis.com. And, of course, GATA.org is always linked there. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for this roundtable and for your thoughts on 2010 and the lawsuit that you've just initiated.
Thank you, Eric.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us at KingWorldNews.com. Make sure to tune in next week where we will have more interviews with the top people in the world.